What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red and Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn. Matt, how you doing this Thursday evening?
Hanging in there. I'm moving this weekend, so we got to bring this episode to you a little bit early. And we're going to preview San Francisco, Philadelphia. A lot of questions out there. We're learning a lot of things in the middle of the week. We'll get to it. Dre Greenlaw, some other things come up. So let's see what we got.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get right into it. While you guys are here, hit the like button, hit the retweet button. If you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can give away a 49ers jersey. We can't get there soon enough. Hit the subscribe button, guys. Help us get there. Help us with our goal. Yeah, Matt, let's get right into it. We're going to be previewing the Eagles game. The biggest news, obviously, that came out today started with some rumors on Twitter. I know we saw our guy Mike Andrews, nothing but Niners. That was the first I personally saw.
Me too.
Talking about how Dre Greenlaw wasn't at practice, and the rumor was that he was having surgery on his groin to repair the injury that he suffered against the Lions. Mm-hmm. And turns out that is true. I saw Matt Barrows later report he's likely to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Medically speaking. Oh, is it 6 to 8 now?
6 to 8.
Oof, okay.
Yeah, so it's not a groin. He's actually having core muscle surgery. So 49er fans will be familiar with this because this is what Nick Bosa had. And Nick Bosa could have been back for Ohio State, but he decided to kind of, play it safe for the draft and kind of sat out. He could have been back by November. I think that's a realistic return time for Dre Greenlaw. But it just makes you wonder, how hard was that man running trying to get that pick six? Because good Lord.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's where he got injured. There was no other visible plays on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just have to see. The only positive, I guess, from this is that Azeez Al-Shaair looked pretty good Sunday. But I know he's kind of had his spotty issues with injuries previously as well. So
exactly.
I guess
and we thought that he was going to be injured in that first game because he left for a little bit with like a foot or something was going on, and he left, but then he came back in. And I feel like that was like a theme with a couple of 49ers where they left and came back in, and you're like, oh God, what happened to him? And then he comes back in, and you're like, okay, I guess he's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I would suspect, especially for Greenlaw, I know Melissa's asking if it's actually 4 to 6 or 6 to 8 because she's seen both. I've seen both too, but if it's like a lot of other core muscle injuries, they're probably going to go in and fix it bilaterally. So on both sides, just because if you have one core muscle injury, you're at higher risk for having another one. So they'll probably fix them both. That's what Nick Bosa had done as well. So that pushes the time back a little bit. So I would guess 6 to 8. But yeah, it's an unfortunate break for the 49ers. And you stack that on top of Jason Verrett. And then there was news coming out that, Eric Armstead was limited early in the week. And that, that there were a couple other, nick-ups here and there. And, you're talking about 3 levels of the defense that have injuries there. And, not a great thing when you're talking about a mobile quarterback and B, really good speed on the outside. So the 49ers will have their work cut out for them for sure.
Most definitely. Spiny danger. We're going to get into that. We're just going to touch on the injuries real quick. Also, I don't think I heard you talk about Javon Kinlaw there, but he was also
Kinlaw's the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you know what? I had a big thing in a Twitter conversation today where, I kind of it shouldn't ruffle my feathers because people just want to know what they know, but it ruffles my feathers when, as a medical professional, people will question. He had a procedure to clean out his knee. It sounds like it had something to do with his meniscus, and now he's dealing with what's being rumored as tendonitis. Those two things may or may not be related. They usually aren't. They're two anatomically different things. Usually you'd have friction issues if cartilage was worn down. At his young age, he shouldn't be having issues with that. It sounds like it's just overuse because he's such a big dude that you're overusing those tendons. So, and realistically, this goes to what a lot of the injuries around the NFL are probably attributed to. And I know Colin Cowherd's talked about this, and I kind of believe in it too. The lightening of the workload through the CBA. Yeah, you're taking away concussion issues. Yeah, you're taking away some of the, the harder injuries for like broken legs and stuff like that. But at the same time, these players aren't necessarily coming in in football shape. They're coming in good shape. They're always in the, weight room and all that stuff. But football shape is different. You're asking them to stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, which is something that's not a normal thing to be doing. And I think that it's going to lead to a lot of these overuse injuries. I think that an injury like Jason Verrett's is not really something that I consider to be that. If you look at the mechanism of that injury, it looks like his foot caught in the turf twice, and it was a hyperextension. Those are like the freak injuries, or like the Nick Bosa ACL last year was like the freak injury, right? Where he was like caught up, there was a guy on his leg, and then he got toppled over the top. That's a freak trauma injury. There's nothing really you could do about that. But then you look at Solomon Thomas, the next play where he goes down, no contact. And those are the things that you're like, man, I just wonder if he was able to be in football shape and doing those explosive drills, even if it's something like I'm doing the blocking sled, right? It's structured, it's organized, but it's definite functional football moves, if that would lead to a little bit less injuries. So we're seeing it around the league. Jeff Okudah with his torn ACL. The Ravens have lost like an entire draft class work of running backs. I wonder if the CBA, in an effort to make the game safer, has actually made conditioning issues worse, because players are coming in really good physical shape, but they're not in football shape.
Yeah, and we saw Joe Staley and Dante Whitner talk about this on the NBC Sports Bay Area preview or recap. I think it was a recap. And they were saying how it's a noticeable difference in the amount of injuries that have increased after the CBA, the new CBA. And I think it was Staley that was saying you're putting the onus on the players to really make sure they're doing their work outside of the field or outside of the training camp and the facility, whereas before it was a lot more hands-on. So I'm not sure what the remedy is here, but it's very, very difficult.
And it's difficult to really, in the day and age where every player wants to be a mogul, where every player wants his brand and that's what they think about and this and that. There are so many distractions outside of football that maybe, you want to take that off of their plate where, hey, OTAs are a little bit longer or training camp is a little bit longer. I mean, now, to be fair, that's why guys are playing longer. And I've heard it from the old head vets, too, who, have maybe recently retired or are still playing, that like training camp for them is so easy now that it doesn't even matter. Like they're not upset about going to training camp. And it's had people kind of, hanging around a little bit longer. But we're seeing a lot of guys get injured, and it's really worrisome after 2020, especially, and we saw this last year, and I think through the first 4 weeks, we're going to see a lot of injuries. But then after that, I think you're going to see, like last year, they're going to taper off because guys are going to get into football shape. They're going to build up those contact calluses. They're going to build up that explosive football move type stuff, and you're going to see less injuries as the season goes forward. But it just kind of hurts. We got 3 guys that are really important to the defense that are either gone for the season or gone for a significant amount of time. Now, Kinlaw practiced today in individual drills, which is really cool and like a good sign. But, Greenlaw's going to be out for almost, up to 2 months. Verrett's gone for the season. We don't know what we're going to get out of Josh Norman. They're still maybe have Sherman's phone number on speed dial. I mean, this is not what you want going into week 2, especially against a Philadelphia team that just absolutely beat the brakes off the Falcons. And we'll get to that later because I think it's a little bit of a smokescreen in terms of how good Philly is. But, you have some of those doubts creep in because of the situation that we have with the injuries and with the matchups.
Yeah, totally agree. Last part on the injuries. Kinlaw obviously didn't play last week, questionable going in. He was spotted on the practice field for the first time this afternoon. Per Jennifer Lee Chan, he was going through position drills at 49ers practice, wearing the same lightweight sleeve he has worn all season. And then he also practiced a little more with his positional group later on. And he is, I think he's questionable. I'm not sure if they've given official stats, but Shanahan said he's been taking it easy the last 10 days or so. It'll start to get better, and we'll see how it goes day to day. So let's hope it goes well. The 49ers definitely need him. Eric Armstead and Emmanuel Mosley were on the practice field as well, and we're kind of taking it light along with Javon Kinlaw. So those are 3 big keys.
By the way, Jay Ellie's comment, I agree with. Just the logistics of it become a little hard when you talk about the cold weather teams. And, I know that they do it in Chicago. They do not. Some of these natural grass fields in like December are really bad. Yeah. So Yeah, you'd like to see all natural grass. Turf injuries are really, really bad. I just don't know how realistic that's going to be, especially for. And now you're talking about, like, what do you do in Minnesota? You really can't have a natural grass field indoors. It just doesn't work that way. Not everybody has the cookie tray that you can roll outside like Arizona does. But I mean, I just feel like natural grass is probably the way to go. Now, the field turf isn't terrible if you do it the right way. Obviously, the Meadowlands doesn't do it the right way, and we've seen that too. Where the rainstorm earlier this season, where you had the bubbling up on the surface, it's just some crazy stuff going down. But hopefully, some of those guys that are injured can come out and play. Kinlaw probably limited. Mosley, I think, man, if it was me, just because Verrett's such a big loss, I might hold Mosley out one more week and get him ready to go for Green Bay.
Which is tough because the Eagles have some really good receivers. I know they're not talented.
I just don't think that Mosley is a burner, though. I mean, Norman and Lenore are not burners either. But you're going to have to, give them help over the top, and you're going to have to rush forward. You're not going to be able to blitz. You have to. Ideally, what you'd like to do is for Bosa and Ford to essentially set the edge, play the linebackers in zone, give the cornerback help over the top, and just try to force Jalen Hurts either to run it up the middle where he can run into Warner and Al Shire, or you make him try to dissect the zone. Neither of which I think is going to be a strength for him. But if you let him get to the edge, that's where he can create real problems for the 49ers. And we're going to definitely get into it in terms of who's playing and what the matchup looks like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we can go ahead and get right into it. 49ers offensively last week, they were rolling. It seems like they were firing on all cylinders until about the second half of the fourth quarter, Matt. Do you expect some more of the same going up against the Eagles? I know they faced the Falcons last week and they looked really good. However, the Falcons could very well be the worst team in the NFL. So how do you expect this matchup to
go? Well, real quick, I'm going to address Melissa's question. She asked, why have turf in a dome? Lions should put in grass. I mean, it's the same reason that people need to get outdoors. You need sunlight to survive. And that's the same thing with grass. You can't just grow it inside. It just doesn't work that way. On to the Eagles. I think that the Eagles week 1 was more a byproduct of how bad the Falcons are. The Falcons are in a state of transition. They have a new coaching staff. They have a lot of turnover on that roster. You have an aging Matt Ryan trying to figure out what he's going to be doing with his career. Terrible defense, which was, I think, might have been the worst scoring defense in the NFL last year. I know we were talking midway through the season that they were on a historically bad pace. So it doesn't surprise me that Philadelphia looked amazing against that team. They got no pass rush. They got, and people said, oh, well, they blitzed a lot, man. And Jalen Hurts was able to beat their blitz. And it's like, well, they didn't get home on anything. Yeah. We're talking about, PFF is saying, I believe PFF was saying that Nick Boat or the 49ers team had 30 pressures against the Lions, 30 quarterback pressures. If that's the case, Jalen Hurts is not going to be able to do what he did. I watched Jalen Hurts at Oklahoma. I watched Jalen Hurts before that at Alabama. Jalen Hurts is not that guy. I don't think that he's all of a sudden become this amazing quarterback that, is going to just light the world on fire. I think that he happened to have a lot of preparation time, the 2 weeks between week 3 of the preseason and opening game. And I will give the Falcons or the Eagles coaching staff rather, praise for getting the guys ready, but it was a lot of prep time versus a really bad team. And I think when you have those two things collide, blowouts like this are going to happen. Yeah,
that's a good point. And yeah, you have the whole, off season basically to prepare for that week 1. And I think we saw exactly that preparation show up. Jalen Hurts, he's mobile and athletic. And I do think that's where the biggest, I don't even want to say problem, but the biggest kind of issue that for the 49ers defense will come to play. I'm not concerned with him as a pocket passer, and the 49ers are going to need to force him to beat them from the pocket if they want to win this game. They can't leave these bootleg play action, RPOs available for Jalen Hurts. They need to make him sit in the pocket and throw the ball. And if he beats the 49ers through there, throwing, 30, 40 times for 300 yards and a couple touchdowns. Exactly. So be it. I'll take that any day.
Yep.
For the 49ers offense, though, we saw all week we were hearing, is Brandon Ayuk in the doghouse? He got a few targets. Kyle Shanahan came out afterwards saying, oh, it's because of his hamstring, and Trent Sherfield's just been playing so well, which I thought was interesting because you're kind of saying like two reasons in one. But offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel came out today and talked about how, here's the quote, Brandon Ayuk has done an outstanding job this week answering the bell. What's been cool is watching a young guy who's always been so talented at every level, who has always been a default starter regardless, because he's better than everyone, handle a small obstacle in his career. And House of the 49ers, it's not like he's in the doghouse or anything, but responding to this week, he's been running his routes hard, crisp, and gotten better. His practice is very encouraging. Do we see Brandon Ayuk like we are used to seeing him this week?
Oh, yeah. And I think that they're saying the opposite of what they mean. And I think Mike McDaniels kind of leaks that out when he says it's not like he's in the doghouse or anything. And that was kind of an unsolicited thing, right? Like where he's just saying like he's not in trouble, which tells you he was in trouble. And I think that him and I'm still convinced, and I know it'll never see the light of day. I know that we're not going to really hear about it. I think that there was some type of team rule, maybe a COVID violation or some type of issue with Brandon Ayuk and Trey Sermon. I just don't. You cannot tell me that Trey Sermon is not good enough to dress on Sundays. He just doesn't have the cachet because he's a rookie. Brandon Ayuk was out there, but in limited snaps, he wasn't targeted, which means they weren't drawing up plays for him. And here's the other thing. If it really was his hamstring, like Kyle Shanahan said, then why'd they put him back there on a punt return?
Yeah.
That doesn't vibe with me. He probably broke a team rule. This is him like, hey, you need to worry about being a professional. You need to worry about following the team rules and the guidelines that we established for it. And now that they're going to get him back in the game plan, the best way to do that is, hey, you served your penance. We punished you last week. You've done the right thing this week while we've been in West Virginia. We're going to pump you up for the game. Hey, man, you've looked really good running routes. Hey, man, you've done everything that you needed to do. So that way you take away some of the sting of that. Hey, man, I got punished, man. I'm in the doghouse and they're mad at me. And, what do I do? And, it's kind of like a keep your chin up, kid sort of situation. So for me, they're kind of saying what they can't say in their vague kind of, media comments. I think that he was in trouble, and now that he's out there, they're going to make a difference. Because in no world, by the way, do you look at the players on the field and go, oh yeah, Trent Sherfield, oh, he's just as good or better than Ayuk to take his spot. That's horse crap.
I thought it was very interesting that Kyle said that. And it's like, sure, Trent Sherfield has produced throughout the preseason. However, talent alone, there's a reason why Brandon Ayuk went first round, and Trent Sherfield.
I think it's 25th.
Yeah.
I think it's 25th.
I totally agree with you. I think something happened. Maybe they were out past curfew. Maybe it was a COVID. I don't know. They probably won't ever say.
I think they were probably out past curfew, or like, maybe they were, dicking around on the team plane or something like that, right? They just did something. Sermon's a rookie, but remember, Ayuk's only a second-year guy, so they're both really young guys. They probably did something that just pissed Kyle off for whatever the circumstance was, or maybe even pissed off somebody like George Kittle.
Yeah,
and then George was like, "Hey, Kyle, this is a problem," and Kyle was like, "All right, I got you."
Yeah, that's very, very well. I thought it was interesting. Brandon Ayuk had a minimum of 2 targets in all 12 games he appeared in last season, and last week he had no targets.
No targets. So, I think he only played 11 snaps too.
Which is also interesting because if the hamstring's an issue,
right? Why is he out there at all?
Yeah. So we'll see. I wanted to ask you though, and we'll transition to the preview. Do you think the 49ers' strength has transitioned from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side of the ball, or is it way too soon to say that?
I think it's too soon to say that. And we talk about depth on this team. I mean, that defensive line, the strength of the defense was always the pass rush, and it was always the leadership of Fred Warner. And as far as I'm concerned, both those things are intact. So until otherwise, I think that those two things are still going to hold true. I think DeMeco Ryans needs to tighten up his defensive game plan. I think that was a little bit loose. did a great job for the first 3 quarters, but then a little bit of adversity hit, and they let it get away from them a little bit with a couple of bad plays on the offensive side of the ball. The offense, I don't expect to stay that good. The Lions have no pass rush to speak of whatsoever. And the same is not true with Philadelphia, who has a couple of monsters on their defensive line. Mm-hmm. We're talking, Brandon Graham and people like that are just going to get after Jimmy Garoppolo, and it could be a long day. We know that Jimmy had one of the best games of one of the cleanest, honestly, the cleanest games of his career against the Lions. And the Lions are a bottom 5 NFL roster. I've always maintained that Philly was better than everybody thought. I always identified this game as a potential worrying game, which is why I think them blowing out the Falcons and the 49ers collapsing a little bit in the fourth quarter was the best thing for this team, because I think it focuses the 49ers and allows the Falcons to feel themselves a little bit, especially going back home. And, I think that this is going to play out situationally well for the 49ers, but the offense has to continue to execute. And I don't know that they can do it at the level that they did against the Lions. I just don't think that the Eagles coaching staff is going to allow Jimmy Garoppolo the time to dissect the field and find, Deebo Samuel over the middle or Brandon Ayuk, on some of those routes. I just don't see it. The run game, I think, is going to be key for the offense, but I still maintain that the key to this game is the 49ers have to contain Jalen Hurts and not get beat over the top.
Yeah, and you said it, Matt. Really, the 2 biggest core strengths of the Eagles is in the trenches, their offensive and defensive line. Those are tremendous aspects of their football team. And I'm looking over the injury report here. As of today, 6 players were limited. Rodney McLeod, Zach Ertz, Brandon Brooks, Avonte Maddox, Marcus Epps, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. And 9 players fully participated: Miles Sanders, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Darius Slay, Ryan Kerrigan, Landon Dickerson, and Davion Taylor. So for the most part, they're relatively healthy, especially kind of the bigger name players. So I agree with you. I think the 49ers are going to need to do a good job of keeping Jimmy Garoppolo upright and allowing the time to get these receivers open or down the field, whatever the case may be. I do like the fact that we talked about Brandon Ayuk will be back. The tight end should be able to have a nice game. I guess we'll see this fully fully without Raheem Mostert yet again. Going back to last season, we'll see if Mitchell, Sermon.
Unfortunate too. Unfortunate with Raheem Mostert. And also, I just want to say, I know I've been hard on Raheem Mostert because the whole holding the team up for money thing. Dude, if you go after him or his family or send them death threats or whatever, like, you're a scumbag. Plain and simple. You could keep it about football and not make it a personal and disgusting attack on somebody. So that, no respect for anybody who did anything like that. I hope Raheem gets better. That being said, I do think that he will not be back on this team next year. I just don't think that after all that, and another year where he's injured, I just don't think that the 49ers can bring him back at the price point he's going to want to come back with. But I thought Elijah Mitchell filled in really well. JaMychal Hasty is still somebody that I think has a lot of potential. And maybe, you can get Trey Sermon out there this week. It remains to be seen. But they're going to have to do something because, Javon Hargrave and Brandon Brooks, like you were talking about, and Fletcher Cox and, Brandon Graham, there's just so much talent on that Eagles defensive line that they're going to have to switch it up. And so in that vein, I think the 49ers actually roll out a few more Trey Lance packages. I think that Trey Lance is going to be a little more dynamic. And as long as they can get him out there and show that he's going to be well-rounded and he's going to be able to pass the ball as well as potentially run it, then I think that's going to be the most important. I think when you bring Trey Lance into the game, the defense is so keyed on stopping Trey Lance that it's going to open a lot of things up down the field. So if you can make the defense think that you're going to run it with Trey Lance and then open it up to a pass, that's going to be, something the 49ers definitely are going to want to do. If anything other than to take the load a little bit off of Jimmy Garoppolo, because if he's back there stationary, I don't think that, the 49ers seem to get a lot more holding calls than the rest of the league. I know somebody had commented earlier that the 49ers, even though with 30 pressures, they only had 3 sacks. We've all seen the pictures of Nick Bosa having both arms pulled backwards while he was going through the line. We're not getting those calls. So whatever you can do.
Yeah.
And Tommy Huxley, by the way, shout out for the $2 super chat.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bump the Beagles.
It's a very disturbing picture in my head, but yes, let's go do it.
Also, I like Beagles, man. They're good dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say JLE said it too. They're troublemakers because they're extremely intelligent and they kind of bay.
Loud.
They have that like bloodhound, that bloodhound breed. They bay and they get into things, but they're really cute and they're very intelligent dogs.
Yep, I agree. Going through some more of these comments here. Coach Timo, thanks for tuning in. He says, how's it going? Absolutely. More injuries, more adjustments, more challenges, but some good pickups the past couple of weeks too regarding personnel.
Yeah. Yep. I kind of like the Josh Norman signing. If you put him out there on an island against, Jalen Reagor, I think he's going to get burnt toast. But at the same time, if you can, the 49ers are going to have to come at this in a very zone heavy, almost Robert Saleh cover 3 style, right? Where you're rotating. And I'd actually like to see maybe like cover 4 or cover 2, where they're really, playing for depth. And the Falcons gave up a lot of points, but the one thing that I took away from that game is if you look at the depth of target for Jalen Hurts, it was not deep. Everything seemed to be screen passes and underneath stuff. So if you can contain the outside screen and at the same time don't get beat over the top, the 49ers defense is significantly better than the Falcons defense. And even with the injuries, I don't think they get the same type of mileage out of those plays that they do against the Falcons.
Yeah, I agree. And we talked about already, the Falcons, horrible defense, horrible team overall. You touched on it, Matt. Maybe it leaves the Eagles feeling a little bit higher than they should realistically. Yeah. So going into this game, they might have a bit of an inflated ego. Can't believe people do that crap. They're scum for sure. I assume this is about Mostert. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, by the way, thank you, Hung Fat, again for another super chat.
Go
Fantastic.
Niners.
Thank you so much. Go Niners. We're definitely rooting for them. I wish I would be. We're going to make the announcement now, I guess. I will not be here for the recap show. Again, I'm moving this weekend, so I got a lot going on. I don't think I'll have my whole setup ready yet, but I'll definitely be back for the home opener against Green Bay, which is going to be a rocking good time.
Yeah, we'll miss you this weekend, but we'll be here.
We'll have good guys taking over.
It'll be a good show. Make sure you guys come here right after the game wraps up. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So on the flip side, we've talked about 49ers offense a little bit, 49ers defense. Obviously, they're going to be without some pretty key pieces. It remains to be seen whether Kinlaw, Armstead, Mosley will play. However, how do you feel about their chances going in now? We talked about it to start. The Eagles have some pretty good receivers in Smith and Reagor and even Dallas Goedert. How are you feeling about their chances stopping the Eagles?
Yeah, I'm more worried about the tight ends because I feel like you can scheme to take away the deep ball. And, I heard Crocker say this on a podcast, and I completely agree with him. Speed kills, but you can't just have speed. It's why John Ross didn't work out. It's why some others didn't work out. You have to be able to run routes too. You can't just have straight line speed. If everything you're doing, that's why Hollywood Brown hasn't been as effective as everybody thinks that they should be, as he should be, right? It's just all he does is run fly routes. The reason why Tyreek Hill is so good is because Tyreek Hill can run the entire route tree on top of the game-breaking speed. Speed alone won't do it. So they definitely, if they can scheme away some of the speed, we have yet to see if Reagor, because Reagor missed a lot of last year. What does Reagor have in terms of route running? Now, Devontae Smith is going to be a problem because I saw him out Alabama, and he definitely has route running skills. So they're going to have to contain. If you nickel and dime them over the top, the other thing you have to remember, too, is the 49ers are not going to sit there and only put up 6 points. Right. So, you can let them nickel and dime you out in front of you, but if you don't get beat over the top and your offense can sustain drives, you're actually taking the ball away from them, and you're forcing them into situations that they're not going to be comfortable with. So it's possible. They just definitely, D'Amico Ryans has his plate full, and a lot of this weekend is going to be on him and how he prepares his guys to defend that outside speed while at the same time not allowing Goddard and Ertz to eat you up over the middle.
Yeah, well said. We have a question from Melissa. Who's going to take on Miles Sanders because he can cut you and our run defense before injuries were atrocious?
I'm not as worried about Miles Sanders as I was about DeAndre Swift and the line. I think they run two different types of runs. Miles Sanders is more of a get to the edge sort of guy, and that's where the strength of our defensive line is. Miles Sanders is not a particularly big guy, so running him up the middle is not going to be the most effective way to use him. But that said, the defensive line, the linebackers, they definitely have to key in and be able to stop the run. You have to recognize the plays, and that's kind of where, some of that experience and some of that coaching from D'Amico Ryan is going to be critical.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Timo with a savage super chat, by the way. $20 super chat.
Thank you, Coach. So that kid Cannon, great special teams player, can return and cover. Good back for our run scheme too. I like potential there. He's got speed too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. The 49ers claimed running back Trenton Cannon off waivers from the Baltimore Ravens, which, by the way, I just want to toss in. The Ravens lost their entire running back room. So I just thought it was funny that, the 49ers were able to claim this guy from them.
Who they signed? They signed Le'Veon Bell. They signed Latavius Murray, and they signed one more guy that's on their practice squad who was also like really good back in the day. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, so
I can't remember who it is.
5'11", 185, originally drafted by the Jets in the 6th round of the 2018 draft. 4-year career. He was with the Jets, the Panthers, and most recently the Ravens. Appeared in 35 games. Career 50 carries for 150 yards, 1 touchdown per the 49ers website. He's an interesting addition. I really do think that the 49ers could utilize him perhaps on special teams, whatever the case may be. I have heard he's got some good speed. So, yeah. Moving out of Cali.
No, I'm moving like 15 minutes away. My job pays way too much to move out of California.
That's funny. This is Matt's thoughts on Lenore. And do we see Ambry, or is there going to be Johnson with maybe Norman if he's blowing it?
I hope we don't see Dante Johnson because he got chewed up. I think at this point, Ambry has more potential than Dante Johnson does, but Ambry's a little rough too. I actually see a guy that's not a 49ers fan, Jovan Nunez.
Yeah, we can talk about this real quick. Historically, not good. About RPOs. Correct.
Yeah. Mobile quarterbacks give us fits. Who are you a fan of, Jovan? We'll get back to that once you answer, but I'm interested to see where you're coming from. Welcome to the show, by the way.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, I think Norman starts, though, especially if they're going to hold out Mosley. I think that, you give him a week to kind of get up to speed and like, hey, this is what we're running. Norman's a 9-10 year vet. He doesn't need a ton of time to bring him up to speed. He's probably played in every defense under the sun. So it's just going to be a matter of him getting out there, then making sure that he's ready to go. I expect him to be out there. Norman should start because even at this stage of his career, he's going to be better than both Ambry Thomas and Dante Johnson. So I think him starting opposite of Lenore, who has been what a find. Lenore looking good. So
he's been good. Real quick, it was Devontae Freeman. That was the back you were talking about.
That's right, Devontae Freeman. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Do we worry Jalen Hurts himself will give us Kyler problems? He's not as quick.
I don't think. No. Kyler Murray is. There's something about him, man, that's just his little legs run so fast that you're just like, what is happening right now? No, I think Kyler Murray is maybe the most dynamic quarterback in the league. I think that he's a better thrower of the football than Lamar. He doesn't have the straight line speed that Lamar does, but I think he has short area quickness that Lamar doesn't have. And, he's not as good a thrower as Russell Wilson is, but he's also faster and quicker than Russell Wilson. I just think that on a complete physical level, I mean, who would have thought that the 5'3" guy, I know he's like 5'9" or whatever. The combine said he was 5'10". I don't believe it. He's like 5'8", 5'9". But the fact that has that ability, that's going to be an interesting few games. I know Tennessee has a trash defense. They were 28th in the league last year in total defense. Who knows if they keep that going forward? I still think they're the worst team in the division, but he's going to be trouble. I don't think that Jalen Hurts presents that. He's not as good a thrower of the football as he's like a slightly larger poor man's Kyler Murray. Yeah,
no, I agree. Kyler Murray's really turning into something special, which is tough because 49ers have to defend that twice a year. No, Hurts not as quick as Kyler. He's bigger running, more like Vic or Mariota in style.
Hurts doesn't have the speed of Michael Vick.
Yeah, I was gonna say Vic was really fast. But yeah, I
Like
could agree
Atlanta
with that.
Falcons, Michael Vick is like one of the fastest dudes I've ever seen on a football field. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring this up real quick because I thought it was hilarious. Former NFL star Bart Scott, current ESPN radio host.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
on ESPN's network show Get Up, and he challenged Damian Woody as far as the Eagles 49ers game, and he said that he will bet his eyebrow on the fact that the 49ers will win. Here's the quote. Everybody's in love with Jalen Hurts this week. Everybody went out and bought jerseys. Jersey sales went up 500%, but I tell you, I bet you the Philadelphia Eagles fans they didn't pop that tag off. They tucked it in because this week they're going to be returning all those jerseys because they've got the San Francisco 49ers that look elite. So listen, don't worry about it. Listen, I bet you the 49ers lose. If the 49ers, lose to the Eagles, I'll shave my eyebrow off. What say you? What say you? Put your money where your mouth is, D Wood. Put your eyebrows up, right or left one. I don't care. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't lose an eyebrow.
You know what my response is to that? Can't wait. No, hey, perfect. You know what? I love the confidence, and I love the fact that he's willing to put it out there. And Bart Scott's always been a dude that's not afraid to speak his mind. I kind of feel the same. I mean, I'm not betting an eyebrow on it, but the 49ers should be able to win this game if they execute the way that they should execute. Yeah. The way that the Eagles win this is if the 49ers come out flat and don't do their job. As simple as that.
Yep. I agree. Now run style, not speed. I'm well aware of speed. Saw it kills plenty back in those days. Yeah. I saw this account. Yeah. Gosh, I want to say it was like Vintage NFL or something like that on Twitter. And it showed they tweet these clips from old games like 2008 previous. Watching those clips are so fun. Just like unlocking memories you didn't even know you had in your brain. Dude.
Yeah.
Watching like Ken Dorsey get sacked by, I don't know, Teddy Bruschi.
Oh my God, Ken Dorsey.
Yeah, I don't think they're a 49ers fan.
Dark ages, bro.
All of the clips from the Niners are like the worst clips.
The worst. Ever. Hey, those uniforms were fire though, and I don't care what anybody says. I know they were dark days, but golly, those uniforms were nice.
Yeah.
By the way, I would actually say Hurts kind of reminds me of Tyrod Taylor. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a really good
That's who he reminds me of. It's like he's not going to kill you and not going to make a ton of mistakes, but he's also not going to be this like super dynamic game-breaking person. And if you pressure him, he will be able to take off on you.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor without the needle in his lung.
Tough. That's a tough one.
Right.
Yeah, Dorsey, that was tough times. Tommy, is Armstead playing? Obstructor injury.
He practiced today, I believe.
Yeah.
He was out there today. Probably just something that, is going to be annoying.
Let's hope he can, but Coach Taylor's a great comparison, right, Matt? That's a really good one. Yeah, I like that comp. So do you expect to see, I know we talked about running backs a bit, but everybody's picking up. I know in our league, I put a claim in on Elijah Mitchell. Yes.
So in my league, like my main league that we pay, it's $100 entry fee and winner take all. We get a championship belt. It's like the whole nine. We do the in-person draft. It's like that old FX show, The League. Like we all, we have $1,000 for the entire season to put waiver bids in on people. And I toss like $11 at them. Somebody paid like $300 to get Elijah Mitchell. And like, I hope that he's worth that. I just like pump the brakes a little bit, guys. It's 1 week against one of the worst teams in the NFL. If Elijah Mitchell can stack good games, which is all we want to see out of every 49er, stack good weeks together. I think that he has the potential to be a really important part of this rotation. I still think that watching them play, I think that Sermon has a little bit more in the tank. That's just me from what I saw in the preseason. But I think that he's going to be, again, like we had with Mostert and Breida in 2019. I think that Sermon and Mitchell could be the jam going forward,
The three-headed monster.
I want to see Sermon get a lot of touches, and I'd rather see Mitchell, Sermon, and Hasty than have Sermon just, what if he's in the doghouse or whatever the case may be. I don't want Jeff Wilson Jr. to have to come back and play a considerable role in this team. I know he's a team favorite, but when you really break it down, Jeff Wilson Jr. is not that great. He's used mostly in short yardage and very situational purposes. And there's a reason why Jeff Wilson Jr. is in the depth chart that he's at. So if I can get those three to be, I want Jeff Wilson Jr. to come back and be like, oh, I guess I'm a special teams guy. That's what I want. Because that means it means that the 49ers did their job of drafting and of signing guys that they thought were going to be better.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to seeing. Tommy Huxley says Mitchell will have a good day. Not sure about 100 yards. Melissa added Elijah is special. He showed that before the injury that kept him out before the Raider game. Don't play fantasy in anything. I'm a real deal Marine. LOL.
I was an Army medic, so thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Love my brothers in uniforms.
Yep. Hung Fats
14 carries,
14, 125, 2 TDs from
Dang,
Mitchell.
He's saying like 8.8 yards a carry or whatever that breaks down to. I'm doing crappy math off the top of my head, so don't kill me on that.
What did he real quick, I'm gonna look up what he averaged. I think he's got a pretty good chance, but I just think that with the addition of Trey Sermon getting his first, I just don't think that he's going to have as good of a game.
He was 19 for 104 and a touchdown, so 5.5 yards a carry against the Lions.
Pretty close.
Yeah. Hasty only got 1 carry for 3 yards, but at least it was a touchdown.
Took that right away from Mitchell. Could have had 2.
Yeah, but yeah. It's sad, it's sad to me, honestly, that Mostert, as much as I hammered him, only made it 2 carries through the season.
It
sucks, dude.
It's like if we were watching a comedy movie, it's something you would expect in the script, just knowing the 49ers history. But in real life, it sucks. It really does suck. And it drives me insane that 1, people went out of their way to throw hate at him and his wife, and 2, it's not like these injuries are, they don't want to be injured. It's something completely out of their control, and that's just the way it is. And obviously we didn't get a chance to talk about it during the week, but he elected to have the surgery per his doctor's advice, and that will keep him out the full season instead of the, I believe, 8 weeks that was previously quoted. So I think you talked about it earlier. Is this the last we've seen in Mostert and Red and Gold?
I think so. Unless he comes back on a severe discount, I just don't know how he would come back, given all that's happened. So it's unfortunate.
Real quick, we got.
I love. By the way, I love the chat throwing up all of your MOS, all of your MOSs, dude. They've changed so much though. When I was in, a medic was 91 whiskey, and I think it's something completely different now. So they change them up, which is kind of annoying, but thank you everybody who served. Jay Ellie, Joshua, Kofefi Coffee, all you guys. Thank you so much. I buy the salute to service hats every year. I love my military brothers and sisters. I love you all. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you everybody for your service. Thank you all. My brother was in the Navy. So thank you all. I got tons of uncles. Appreciate you guys so much for what you do. Thank you, everybody. We love all of our veterans here.
Yep.
All right, we're going to be wrapping things up here and getting into our defensive and offensive MVP predictions, final score predictions. Matt, who do you think repeats on offense? Or I shouldn't say repeats. Who do you think shines on offense the brightest?
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb because I think that, tough times make tough people. I'm going to say Brandon Ayuk. I think Brandon Ayuk catches a touchdown pass this week. I think he has 5 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown.
That's pretty similar to what I had. I keep hitting my mic. Pretty similar to what we had. I had last week. But I'm going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think Jimmy takes advantage of downtrodden Eagles defense, at least secondary, because their defensive line is for real. And I think he has another 300+ yard game with 2 touchdowns and both obviously throwing. I think he's going to take the team into the red zone, and Trey Lance kind of steals one from him. So I'm going to say Jimmy, 300+, 2 touchdowns.
There you go.
Drop your guys' offensive MVPs prediction.
Did we have any scores that won last week or no?
I mean, went through
41-33 is a real tough score to kind of predict.
I went through all the ones that I could find. I didn't see any.
Yeah.
Guys, if you ever get them right and we miss it, please tweet them at us.
By the way, so in that vein, if you guys can screenshot what you guys put, that way at least we know for sure. Please do that, because if we don't want to deny anybody who actually got something right. And between it's like YouTube and Periscope and Twitter and Twitch, like between all these platforms, it's hard to see all of the comments and save them all. So
especially with the live chat, you can't really access it after. So just CYA, cover your ass, guys. Go Feffy Coffee, Jimmy G 2 TDs, Lance 3 TDs. Jeez,
there you go.
All right, that's 35 points right there.
Go Feffy Coffee has us winning like 1,000-0.
Right,
good job. I'm not mad about it.
All right, defensive MVP, Matt. Who do you got?
I'm going to speak it into existence until it happens. Nick Bosa, 3 sacks and a forced fumble, just like I said last week. It's going to happen. He only had 1 last week, but if Chandler Jones can have 5, I know somebody like Nick Bosa can have 3 and a forced fumble.
Okay. All right. Gosh, man, this is really tough. Defensive MVP. I mean, the given is Fred Warner, but I went with I think I went with D Ford last week, and I was somewhat close. He had a sack.
He had a sack.
Yeah. He looked good. He had some pressures too. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go on a limb, man. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say Josh Norman. I'm gonna say Josh Norman comes in off the streets, has a fantastic game, an interception.
Okay.
The 49ers are sitting there going into week 3 thinking, we got our corner. We're good. I like to stay positive, as you can tell.
Yeah. Shout out secondary defensive MVP for me will be D'Amico Ryans. I think that he will bounce back from an uneven week 1 and put together a good game plan for the team, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. Final score prediction, Zach. What do you got?
Final score predictions. Okay. Hold on. Let me pull up what the over-under is. Do you happen to have it?
I don't know what the over-under is. I know the 49ers are favored by 3.5.
1 second. Come on. 50.5.
50.5. Okay.
So I'm going to go 49ers 27, Eagles 17.
You're betting the under.
I'll take the under.
Oh, my God. Never bet the under, bro. Barstool says it best. Always bet the over. I'm betting the over, I think. But I'm going to take 49ers and bet against Vegas. I think 49ers win 31-27.
Okay. All right. Interesting question. Is Chandler Jones better than Nick Bosa?
I can't answer that right now without seeing more of Nick Bosa. Chandler Jones is like an established vet.
I was going to say that exact word. He's more
Bosa had one season where he was absolutely phenomenal, defensive rookie of the year, absolutely well-deserved. Yeah. If he's anything like his brother Joey, because I think Joey Bosa is better than Chandler Jones is. So if he's anything like Joey, then he will be. I just need to see more.
He's certainly more talented.
Raw talent, I think so. Well, and I think that, I mean, Nick Bosa, when you watch him, technically, his technique is flawless. He has amazing technique, especially with his hands. His hands are amazing.
Yeah, he's a technician once he gets into that kind of hand fighting.
See, Timo's on me. Right there.
MVP is defense because I think Bosa gets 3 sacks plus
3 sacks
in this one.
3 sacks plus in this one. Okay, maybe 4. Jay Ellie Tart forced fumble. I like it.
I want to see Trey go for a huge run and both passing and running touchdowns. Is this Sermon or Lance? I assume she means Lance.
Lance, yeah. I'm gonna be honest, guys, and we can talk about this a little bit if you'd like. I'm curious as to your thoughts too, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily like Lance in read option situations.
It hasn't been pretty.
I want him. Well, the defense is keying on him, but I just don't think that that's going to be a strength for him anyway. We want Lance to be able to pass the ball. So in that vein, you can do RPO, which is different from read option, but the pure read option that they ran him out there for 2 plays on, I just don't know that that's going to be super effective. I like that they're trying to press him into stuff that he's not good at. I know that me personally, I've seen that he's not great under shotgun, but his real strength is going to be bootlegs and off of play action and under center type stuff. And so once they get him in there fully and they open up the playbook, that's where he's going to be most effective to me. I just hope they don't run him out there for that, you know, those 2 or 3 stupid plays where it's like 2 of them are read options where he doesn't even hand the ball off. He's keeping it. And I think that Lance is keeping it because, like, you know, he's trying to make plays. He wants to make a good impression. And it goes to why I think that Lance struggled a little bit in the preseason is 1, rust, and 2, he's trying to prove himself under the immense pressure that comes with costing 3 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, set him up to succeed. I think the biggest way that Lance succeeds when he comes in is if you have that real threat of him throwing the ball. I said it last week. The best thing that happened was Lance throwing it to Sherfield out in the flat for a wide open touchdown, because it has to make the defense think like, oh, he's not coming in here just to run the ball. There's a threat of when you see Taysom Hill, you're like, Taysom Hill's not passing this ball. I don't even care. It's the same thing when the Chicago Bears used to run Devin Hester out of the Wildcat. Like, Devin Hester's never throwing the ball. Like, you, okay, guys. Okay, Devin Hester's in. It's a run. We're playing run defense. Yep. That's pretty much what it is. So I'd love to see him get out there and actually throw the ball and sling it around, because that's what really, and even in Lance's, you know, his instinct is to throw first and run second. You know, he's more of that Aaron Rodgers type runner where it's like, yeah, he can kill you if you leave, if you let him, you know, break contain, but at the same time, he's keeping eyes downfield trying to throw the ball. So,
yeah, no, I really disliked how he was used in week 1. And obviously you're not going out there showing all your cards. But
Hung Fat pointed it out, and you said it in your article, right? Like, he's not being used correctly.
I did. It was my 5 takeaways from the win. And my last one was Trey Lance is being used incorrectly. I don't know, whatever it is, like you said, Matt, it could be that he's just trying to make the plays. Maybe he's overthinking once he gets out of the huddle.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, what I think it really was, at least in week 1, I think there actually was a question as to whether or not he would have been available in week 1, because I know that finger was like kind of an issue early in the week, and I think they really thought, okay, he might not be able to go, and it was just kind of a thing of Kyle's like, okay, what can I call for him that he knows without actually like putting him in? They didn't game plan Lance into the offense. They kind of just went, okay, I can do this. And okay, go out there, Trey. Yeah. So, and that's why, honestly, when the game was out of reach midway through the third quarter, even when it was like, I think it was 38-10. And I was like, put Lance in there. There's no reason not to, because they hadn't game planned for him. I don't think that Kyle felt comfortable calling plays, because he's like, well, what does he actually know? Because we didn't prepare for this, because we didn't know if he was going to be ready. So I think that at this point, it's not the preseason. You don't have to worry about showing any teams like stuff you don't want them to see. That's really dumb, because it's the regular season. You want to get him out there to his full ability. Now that they know he's available, the finger's healed, I think you're going to start to see more and more of him.
Yep. I hope so, man. I really hope that was the reason. What's up, John V? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. I think that we'll start to see more and more. But I want to see him be a pocket passer. I want to see that gigantic arm that he has in action. Because I think that's where he really will shine the brightest.
By the way, that pass to Sherfield out in the flat had touch on it. It wasn't just a straight fastball.
It was nice. It was nice. Yeah. I
That's exactly the way you want to throw that ball. He feathered it right to Sherfield so that Sherfield could just catch it and walk in. Yep. I thought that was good. And yeah, I definitely want to see him from the pocket. That's what's going to separate him from past quarterbacks like Colin Kaepernick, or what we're seeing out of Lamar Jackson right now. I think Lamar's limitations were, against the Raiders, I think they were kind of exposed. Again, that lack of refinement as a passer, and I don't want that to be Lance. That don't get me wrong, Lamar Jackson is a supreme athlete. I think that he's a very good former MVP. I think that he's a very, very good player. I don't think that he's a very, very good quarterback.
That's fair. I mean, that's always been the knock on him, and that's those narratives are there for a reason. So I agree with you. Melissa asks, do we break away from prevent defense because the Giants are playing it right now? It drives me crazy. Oh.
I haven't been watching the game. Are the Giants winning right now?
I haven't even seen anything.
Taylor Heineke couldn't get it done. All I know is that
23-20 Giants up.
Okay. All I know is that at least through the first quarter, Saquon Barkley had 4 carries for 46 yards and looked pretty explosive. So that was good to see.
Yep. All right. We're going to get into our sponsors real quick. By the way, shout out to the 49ers. They sent me their crate. I bought the first season one, and it was supposed to contain Jimmy Garoppolo bobblehead. They mistakenly sent me a Joe Staley. However, I'm not complaining. The light's kind of difficult. So they made up for it. Oh, that was my light. And they sent me.
Zach's all over the place. Zach, are you drunk?
I'm not drunk when my light fell. There we go. It's like these damn tripods. They can't just put a light on a normal stick. But they sent me the Jimmy Garoppolo, so I ended up with 2. Jimmy and Joe.
Wait. Bring those forward. Those say 2019 on them.
2019 and 2018.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Joe's not on the team anymore, so.
Hey, man, why don't you send me that Joe Staley?
It's going to cost you a pretty penny, my friend. No, I'm just kidding.
What's a pretty penny?
I don't know.
Shipping?
I was going to say, pay for the shipping label.
I'll pay shipping.
It'll be your new house.
I'll pay shipping. My new place, I'm going to be able to do kind of like what. So this is not even. I mean, it's kind of 49ers related. I'm going to be able to do a little bit of what you did and put stuff behind me. So I'm going to have like an infinity shelf behind me, and it'd be nice to have like a bobblehead or something there.
I still have that Frank Gore autographed jersey waiting for you once you move in.
I know. Okay. We'll get into it, but framing jerseys is so expensive, dude.
I actually found a really nice frame. And I got it off Amazon for like $69, I want to say $70. I haven't put it up yet.
I think I know which one you're talking about. I'm about to buy those because I went to Michael's, and even with like 80% off, it was going to cost me like $300.
Ooh, are they going to do it for you? Like mount it and everything?
They were going to do it for me. Everything was going to be done for me, but at the same time, like no way, because I still have the Ayuk autograph and the Warner autograph jersey. So. And then I'm waiting on the Frank Gore. So there's going to be a lot of jerseys going up, but I have enough wall space. I just want something else to kind of break it up too.
Yeah, we'll get it to
anyway, back to 49ers. Let's take your last few comments. Let's actually, before we do that, go ahead and actually get to our sponsors. Yes.
Before my whole setup here crashed, guys, you can, I don't know if you've heard, you might have heard if you watched the show before, you can now buy gold for as little as $50 a month. Shout out to Acre Gold. You can start buying gold for as little as $50 a month. Like I said, once you reach the market price of 2.5 grams, Acre Gold will send you a 2.5 gold bar, gold stamp, as Matt refers it to, as has become known here. It's really cool because you don't have to spend $200-300 whatever the market price is at a time. You can, put away at it without even realizing, and you slowly but surely will build up a nice gold supply. Second, shout out to 81 Vino, Terrell Owens Wine Company. It's a fantastic wine. 81vino.com, code Hive will get you 10% off. Also free shipping on 2 or more bottles. And lastly, or actually we have one more tonight, so 2 more. We have shop49ershive.com where we got our merch. Go and check out our merch. You got apparel, mugs, tumblers, this Trey Lance print behind me. We got a bunch of stuff on our Teespring store. Use code RGS15 for 15% off your entire purchase. And lastly, I'm really excited. We've been working with these guys for a bit, and we're really stoked about where things are headed. Check out playpickup.com because they are doing some really cool things with sports betting over there. We have a prop linked in every single one of our articles. So if you go to 49ershive.com and click on the latest article, you'll see a prop. You can bet in there. put in your phone number, and once it happens, you can, get some points. I know California sports betting is not legal yet, but the cool thing here is that you'll still earn points. And once you get points, you can go to their marketplace and redeem them. This right here is 150 points for some MLB shot glasses. It's really cool. They got some really cool gifts here. Fanatics gift card, 1,250 points. And I believe each prop that you bet on is worth 50 points. So go and check out playpickup.com. We're really excited to partner with these guys. And that's it. Pay the bills.
That's cool.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
See you later.
Matt won't be here this weekend. However, I will be here, and Perry will be here, perhaps a few other faces of the 49ers Hive team. So make sure you guys join right after the game ends on Sunday. We'll break it all down. Yep. Hopefully, Niners will be 2-0.
I just noticed that you put San Francisco versus Philadelphia up on the little board behind you.
Yeah, I
didn't notice until you pointed out Trey Lance.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
Blocking it the whole damn time.
That's cool. I mean, hey, you got a 33-gallon head, man. It's okay.
It's big. It really is big.
Big head. Hey, I've seen it in person. It's a ginormous head. What's your hat size? Like 8 3/4?
I don't wear hats, so I don't have to answer that question.
Okay,
however,
perfect.
I will say I am a large man. My head is proportional to my body.
There you go.
Leave it at that.
That's all we can ask for.
Yes.
That being said, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up here, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, guys, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow us on all our social media accounts. Let's hope for a 49ers win. Get in, get out, take care of business, and on to Green Bay in week 3 in prime time with those sweet, sweet 94 red throwback uniforms. So on behalf of Zach and myself, thank you as always for joining us. And for Sunday, go Niners.